Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to the program. Now, this may take a couple of days to work its way through the approval process, and I'm cool with that, man, because greatness is worth the wait. And when it's Led Zeppelin doing the Robert Johnson classic Traveling Riverside Blues, that's just greatness on top of greatness. So go ahead, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and take that volume knob and turn that shit up. So Traveling Riverside Blues was written by Robert Johnson and originally recorded in 1937. It's one of the 29 distinctive tracks that we discussed on a short celebrating his birthday on May 8th. And I do hope that you check that out. We should probably put a link to that short video below somewhere. And of course, Led Zeppelin's version is very different from the original. And it's obviously very freaking cool. And of course, we don't have to, count the bars or see if it fits any sort of proper time signatures or break down the lyrics to discover any sort of hidden themes. It's a blues tune 100% of the time. And of course, this track was recorded at the BBC studios on June 23rd, 1969. It was then played 4 days later on Top Gear under the title Traveling Riverside Blues 69. That, of course, is not the TV automotive program, but a BBC radio program by the same name. It was then apparently was repeated again on January 11th, 1970. So that puts us really at the same time frame as the first two Led Zeppelin albums, which I actually just listened to, and actually part of Led Zeppelin 3 about 3 days ago. By the way, still epic, still mind-blowing. And there's also the time frame covered by the documentary Becoming Led Zeppelin. I'll put a link to that episode where we discuss that movie down below as well. And one of the things that Becoming Led Zeppelin made clear was how sudden, how different, and how brilliant these guys were. In 12 months, they went from being like number 4 on the bill to headlining Royal Albert Hall and becoming the biggest band in the world. And Traveling Riverside Blues is a great example of just who they were, how freaking good they were. Of course, Jimmy Page, 7th greatest guitar solo my ass, used a 12-string electric guitar and an acoustic guitar throughout the entire thing. The acoustic guitar, the 6-string, was used for the slide elements on the song. Now, the 12-string that he used seems to be his 67 Vox Phantom 12, which he did play for with the Yardbirds and all the way through Led Zeppelin 2, if I remember correctly. He also had a 65 Fender Electric 12 and a Rickenbacker 12-string as well, but I do believe those guitars came a little bit later, so it does seem that it was the Vox Phantom that he actually played on this track. Pretty sure that's right anyway. And as far as the slide playing goes, initially I thought he was going to play a resonated guitar, like a dobro, for instance, like this, because it originally had that resonator sort of sound. But then again, it is Jimmy Page, so he does things that other people can't do, quite simply. But it does seem like he was just using the Gibson the J200 that he actually borrowed from American singer-songwriter Jim Sullivan. Now, that guitar is really all over Led Zeppelin's first album. You hear it on Baby, I'm Gonna Leave You, Your Time Is Gonna Come, Black Mountain Side. Page actually returned that album to Jim Sullivan after the first album. Then he bought the Martin D28, and of course you hear that on the Zeppelin albums and everything, well, from that point afterwards. Like a little guitar trivia, there you go anyway. And really, so that's kind of, I guess, the Jimmy Page element of the song. And at the time of this recording, Robert Plant had not yet actually turned 21 years of age. And it's clear that at this time he was well ahead of his craft, even at such a young age. And it was obvious he wasn't just listening to Elvis and Robert Johnson and Booker White and Willie Dixon. He was studying these guys. 20 years old, and he already had all these different inflections. You can hear this in this one song. And just this really great enunciation. There was no muddling going on. It was like he had already had all this stuff figured out. And he just nails it throughout this song. By the way, if you like singers and if you want to learn more about the art of singing in various genres, there's no better place as a site called the Charismatic Voice. Young lady's an opera singer. She's a vocal coach. And she'll explain to you why Ronnie James Dio and Rob Halford, and of course, why Robert Plant are just vocal studs. And she's also got just a great joy that comes out. It's really just infectious. So if you want to listen to a great reaction channel where you actually learn something from someone who knows what they're talking about, check her out. And if you want to really learn what makes Robert Plant great, not on this track per se, but just as a singer overall, go check her out. It can really add, I think, to the discussion about this song and others, but she's a great resource. Way better than I'm going to tell you. I can guarantee you that. One more time, back to the Becoming Led Zeppelin archives. First of all, if you haven't seen the movie, please do. It's freaking awesome. And one of the best parts of the movie is when John Paul Jones is talking about playing with and kind of playing around John Bonham as it was. Now, Bonham often did not play with Jones, but actually played with Jimmy Page, kind of breaking up that standard bass and drummer kind of playing off one another. And of course, this gave Jonesy a lot of space and also at the same time a lot of responsibility. But of course, John Paul Jones could do anything, so this was never a problem. And in the movie, Jones says at times he would actually stop playing. He'd go silent for a couple counts or whatever. And he did this purposely to give Bonzo some extra space, especially when he was really rolling. Calling Jones and Bonham the band's rhythm section, it's correct, but at the same time, it's wildly inaccurate. And here in this song, you hear Bonham is kind of twin solo with Jimmy Page, while John Paul Jones just powers this entire thing with this funky, thick bass line that just cuts through the middle of everything. Rhythm section, my ass. Seventh best guitar solo of all time, double my ass. So, renewed interest in this song began in 1988 when Jimmy Page was touring in support of his album Outrider. He was getting a lot of questions about it from DJs, and the fans started picking it up and really started hearing it again. So he negotiated with the BBC for the release of the song. And in 1990, the video that we just enjoyed, that was released. And of course, the audio came from the original recordings. Hear how great those were. And the video was spliced together from the concert film Song Remains the Same, other archival footage, and pieces they picked up. You see like the railway images from like the Mississippi River area, all kind of stuff like that. So when you put it all together, you got a Robert Johnson classic, you got Led Zeppelin playing it, 1969, between the wonderful old ages of 20 to probably 24, I think Page was the oldest at the time. That's not bad. That's not some bad music for such young people. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe because, look, no matter how much Zeppelin you think you may be listening to, it's probably just not enough, man. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. See you again next time. Take care.